Hey everyone, this is Samir here again, and today we are going to talk about how to buy a house or an apartment, a condo, a place to live after coming to Canada in a very short period of time. So, I will be talking mostly about our experience. We bought our place in a year after we arrived in Canada. So, it's possible, and you don't have to wait for many years to do it. There are just few things you need to consider, and I will talk about those. So first, let's start about the mortgages, right? So when you're buying a place, most probably you will not have 100% of the down payment, so you will need to borrow a certain amount of money. So in Canada, there is a program which is called First Time Home Buyers Program. With this program, you can afford to buy a house even with 5% down payment. So how it works is that you put the 5%, and then the conventional mortgage is 20%. So this is already considered high ratio mortgage. So in this case, the bank needs some kind of safety in order for them to protect themselves against a default. For example, if you cannot repay it, the bank will take the property and will try to sell it, right? So but they need insurance. So there you can buy either default insurance through the CMHC, Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation, or you can also go in a partnership with the government. So let's say you put 5% and the government puts 15%, and then the government will own 15% of your property. So in future when you sell, they will still take that 15%, which already may be way more than it was worth when they were first giving it to you. So in that case, you might end up even paying more money to the government than the cost of this insurance. So in our case, when we were buying our property, there wasn't this program where you can go in with a partnership with government. So we bought our home with the insurance. We put, I think, like 17% down, and then we took 3%, and then for that we paid, I think it's like $10,000. But it adds to your mortgage, so you don't pay it at once. You just slowly pay it as your mortgage goes. So let's say in 25 years, it will be split into 25 years. Once you realize that, for example, you want to go with the first program, for example, where you buy the insurance, first of all, you need to go and talk with the mortgage agent. You can either approach your bank. I'm sure they will have like a mortgage specialist which will assist you. Most people actually take their mortgages from the bank where they bank. This is the main reason why banks are offering special incentives for you to open an account there. For example, there are programs where they give you cash, they give you iPad, or they give you 1 year free service. And mostly it's happening when you're actually arriving in Canada. There are programs for newcomers, and the people think that it's just they're trying to be nice, but banks always thinking about the bottom line. So in future, if you have an account with, let's say, RBC, and you use their cards, your salary goes there, most probably you will get your mortgage from that bank as well. That's how it happens most cases. That's what happened with us. It was easier to negotiate with them because we felt we already know their branch and we know the people who work there. So, and after that, after you meet with the mortgage agent, they will go through your numbers. Basically, you will need to provide them with your employment records, pay stubs, job letters. If you have a business, you need to bring in a tax assessment for the previous 2 years. So let's say if it's Uber or something else, you'd need to bring in 2 year tax assessments. You can't just bring in like 6 months that you were started doing something. That's not helpful. The only thing you can do is if you have a rental property and that's generating income, and you started doing it, let's say last year, you can use that proceeds if there is positive cash flow from there in order to qualify for the next mortgage. So anyways, once you get this pre-approval done, so this mortgage specialist, they will go through the numbers, they will assess your credit score, they'll check your credit bureau, report, and then they'll send it to underwriter. So once you get the pre-approval, you will know that what's the maximum amount you can borrow and what's the maximum amount that you can pay for the property. Most banks, if you get a pre-approval, they will guarantee it for 120 days. In case of RBC, they will do final pre-approval, firm pre-approval, so they will not go back and check the stuff again. I have seen that in some cases when you work with mortgage agents. I also got a mortgage license as well, but that's another topic. They usually give you like a soft pre-approval, and they go through their numbers, but then at the end they go again through your numbers. They might require additional information from you. With RBC, they don't ask you for anything else, so they just go directly into financing the deal once you bring in once they give you the pre-approval. So once you get this pre-approval, you can then go talk with the real estate agent, for example with me. Then we can narrow down the location where you're looking for, which criteria are important for you, then maybe some schools where your kids will be studying, what's the ranking of the school. And once we narrow down the criteria, we know where you're looking for, then you go for showings, right? So you can go see the property, and then if you like something, you can put an offer on it. And when you submit an offer, it's a binding agreement. You're basically signing an agreement of purchase and sale completed from your side. So once the other side signs it, that's it. It's a firm deal, and you can't get out of that deal basically, unless you put some conditions. So in case of conditions, you can put, for example, condition of financing. So you can say something like, unless buyer is completely satisfied with the mortgage that they are receiving, then the deal will proceed. But what if you're not completely satisfied? What that does even mean? Even if you get the lowest rate, you might say, no, I wasn't satisfied, so you might get out of the deal, right? It gives you an edge. Obviously, sellers know this kind of stuff, so they will try not to accept this kind of offers where you have this kind of conditions. And when it's seller's market, that's where there is higher demand than supply. You actually have to go with what sellers are saying. So if the seller doesn't want the condition, you're less competitive. Your offer will be less competitive to others who haven't submitted an offer with the condition of financing. Another popular condition is to check the status certificate. It's usually for condominiums, if you're buying a condominium, because there might be a pending lawsuit against the condominium corporation. And if that's the case, then the bank will not finance the deal because they don't know how much the legal action will be, and maybe you'll have to pay a lot of money, so you won't be able to afford the mortgage, then you'll default on your mortgage. So that's why they will not finance this kind of deals. But to protect yourself, you can ask for these status certificates before submitting an offer. So you can give it to your lawyer and they will review it, make sure everything is okay. You can also read it yourself. It's pretty straightforward. If you're familiar with legal documents, you can read everything yourself. There's another condition. If you're buying, let's say, a freehold home, then you can put a condition of property inspection. You can hire a property inspector who will come in and they will create a report. They will assess everything, how it looks, the plumbing, the everything basically, concrete, roof. I mean, every small thing that you can't physically you can't see, they will assess it. So they know how there are special tools they use, and they will go through those and they will make sure that everything is working properly and what kind of renovations are required. So you might buy something which is not great, but then you know that, you know what, I'm going to replace the roof, I'm going to replace the fridge, this is how much it costs. So you have preliminary budget, right? So after you submitted this offer with conditions, and let's say it's accepted, right? So then you have time until you remove the conditions. So you should go do those things that you asked for example, getting the approval from the bank, If you ask for conditional financing, usually it's 5 days, 5 business days. After your offer is submitted, then you send this offer to your financial institution, to your mortgage agent, and then they will review it, and then they will submit it to their underwriter, and then that's it. Your lawyer will take over. They will check the land titles to make sure that the owners are the owners, and then they will register your name as the new owner, and they will take the money from the bank and send it to the seller's lawyers. So that way, in one single day, your title will be registered, the money will be transferred, and you'll receive the keys. So all of this will happen in one day. So usually, how this works is that people put 30 days closing, 60 days closing. So this means that after you submit the offer, the actual date when the transaction will take place will be 30 days from this day, or 60 days from this day. So this gives you enough time to prepare for financial documents. Maybe you need to move, so you can plan ahead. It gives you flexibility. So usually I think 60 days is perfect. If sometimes though the sellers, they want quick closing, so they say maybe 30 days, and then they will prioritize the offers which will go with that, what they want. That's why before we actually submit the offer, usually always speak with the sellers agents. We find out what's approximate the price they're looking for, what is important for them. For example, if it's a quick closing, or if they don't want conditions, and depends. Sometimes they're so strict about the conditions. Once we submitted an offer with my first time buyers, and they wanted to specifically put the condition of financing because they were really scared that my bank might not approve the deal, and then they will lose their deposit, right? Because the deal is firm and then you can't finance it, so it means you lose the deposit. So it's pretty scary, and deposit is not a small amount. People usually put like $30,000-$40,000 deposits. So they were insisting on putting the condition, but the sellers, they said no, we don't want the condition. And what we did is we increased the offer amount, and at the end, what we found out is that our offer was $50,000 more than what the property sold for. So they sold to somebody else for $50,000 less, just because they didn't have a condition. So even though my clients had the pre-approval, it wasn't a pre-approval which would be firm, so it could have been not approved at the end. It was this kind of pre-approval. We talked with the bank and they verified it that, look, we don't guarantee that we will finance it, and you need to give us final per agreement. And then basically we couldn't remove this condition. So anyways, they ended up buying pre-construction, which was better deal, obviously. Because it was a new property, and the property we were looking for was old and has some other issues. Anyways, so this is how it works. And in our case, now let me talk about what happened with us. We both were working full-time, permanent jobs. Both were employed at that time by the tobacco company, and I just started. I think I started for 1 month, so my 3 months probation wasn't over yet. And because of that, the bank asked for a letter from the HR department saying that I'm in good standing with the company, so they are more comfortable lending us money. So I got that letter in, and then with that letter, they accepted our application, and we actually were bargaining for the rate, for mortgage rate. I went to another bank. I didn't ask them to do a full check on my documents. By that, I just asked them what's the rate I can borrow at, and they gave me a rate better than the average market rate, just without even checking my documents. Then I took that rate and I went to my bank saying that, look, I'm getting this rate, can you beat this rate? And they said yes, we can. And then I went back to another bank. I got I told them that I'm getting this rate now, which was already low, and asked them, can you beat this rate? And they offered even lower rate, and then I went back to my bank again and saying that, look, I found another one. And for that low rate, they had already to go to get special approval from their head of some department, but they got that approval, and they gave me actually a very good rate. So at that time it was good rate, it was I think 3.04, and then market rate was around 3.5 I think when we were buying it. Anyways, it was a good deal. Now I mean it's already not a good rate. Rates went down all the way to 1.5. Now they're already at 2.25 I think. So the market started going back up, but at that time it was the best rate I could get. So that's why you should shop around, don't just go with the first rate they tell you, because people, they want to profit, so they will try to sell you the most expensive thing, but you know that there is always a way to get something at a better rate, because banks are very competitive and they will not let some other bank take over their business. So they will, as long as it's reasonable, of course, and no bank will do something unreasonable. So there is a way, to get a lower rate. So you got it, right? So after we got this stuff, the day came. We put 60-day closing, and the day came. We were so excited. I was waiting to receive the keys. I was calling the lawyer from the morning. I was like, how's it going? He's like, everything is great. We sent the documents. I'm expecting the keys at like 3-4 p.m. So I was there exactly when he told me, and I picked up the keys, and we were so happy. And we already were planning for this move, so we gave a notice to our landlords that we were leaving 60 days before. And then basically we left. Our friends helped us a lot. I don't know how we would have moved without their help. I rented this U-Haul truck, huge truck. I never drove anything like this. And in downtown it's so difficult to navigate with this huge truck because there's no space. So I asked my friends to drive one in front of me, and then my wife was driving behind us. So we were like driving in a caravan, three cars, and we were all on a speaker. So we were talking on the phone. I would say, now we need to go left, and then the first car would block the road, so nobody else was moving. So then I can go in there, So it was pretty crazy experience, but yeah, I managed to bring it safe, to drive this U-Haul truck safe to our destination. And we started unpacking. I think we finished at around 3 a.m. It was so late, we were so tired, and all our stuff was we just brought the boxes basically into the new place. And then we were already with my wife trying to put everything in place. It took us maybe 2 weeks after that to completely settle down. Yeah, so it's a good experience. It definitely takes a lot of energy, but you feel so great. In downtown we were living in around 400 something square feet apartment, and now we moved to 2.5 two bedrooms, and then with 2 washrooms, 1,000 square feet unit, with huge balcony, with a park in front of the place. It's just amazing, and it's besides this Eglinton LRT line, which is finishing next year. We already see all these tracks built, and there are already trains moving there. They're testing them. So next year, hopefully, this project finishes. It's been big pain, for the whole city of Toronto. It's been more than 10 years since this project started that they're trying to finish it, and they're always extending, and now it looks like they're almost finished. So we are very happy, and it's a good investment as well. Now I'll tell you another very important thing. When we were buying the place, it actually was listed by a trustee. So the person who lived here before us, they were old and they passed away. So the property went on to the trustee. So trustee, they hired cheapest, like the most discount brokerage they can find, and they didn't do any marketing on it, and they were offering very low commission to the buying agent. Since I am agent myself and I was buying, I didn't care about the commission, and I um, I was like shocked first of all that there weren't many offers, and we were able to get this place only 16,000 above their asking price, and they listed it very low. They listed below market, and at the end we ended up buying it 150,000 below market. My neighbors sold their property already. 3-4 of them sold the same exact unit for 150,000 more. So this just shows you that when you work with a real estate agent, you need to find somebody trustworthy who will actually uh, care of you rather than only about their commission. Because if you don't work with somebody that's trustworthy, they will only care about their commission and they will not recommend you this kind of place because they are not getting paid. And they will find 1,000 reasons why this property is bad. You can desell anything. You can say any negative things about any property. You give me a property, I'll tell you so many negative things about it. That's why trust your gut, find somebody trustworthy. That's the most important thing, and then you can proceed with your purchase. So also very important, as soon as you arrive in Canada, get credit cards. Make sure your credit score is high, and there are ways to make it high, so you can always pay in time. Try to use your credit card a lot. Don't go over your limit. Try to cover it as soon as you bought something. And in our case, I took 2 credit cards and I added more money into the card than the balance was. So my limit was very low, so I was adding more money and was buying a more expensive things. So for example, my limit, I think when I arrived, was $2,000 on one card and $1,500 on another card. And let's say I need to buy something which is $4,000, so I would add $2,000, go buy something for $4,000, and then pay that off just to use the card. So the more you use the card, the more history you have, the better it is for your credit score. So now my credit score is almost perfect. I think it's around 800, so 796, something like that. My wife's is even higher. So this is the reason, and they only look at this. When you have a good credit score in Canada, you can do anything. You can buy a house, you can take a cell phone, I don't know, buy any appliance in any store with a credit, with 24, let's say 36 deferred payments. You can do a lot of things like this, but when you don't have good credit history, you cannot do anything. You're stuck. You have to always pay out of pocket, and it's very hard to borrow for mortgage. You'll get a much higher interest rate, and you will lose a lot of money. So in our countries, a lot of people don't use credit cards. I never had credit card back home, but here I'm on top of it. I have already 3-4 credit cards, and I get cashbacks from each card. So those cashbacks, even alone, I make more than like $1,000 a year just on cashbacks. You should always make sure that you're on top of your stuff. I'll make another video if you want about the credit cards. It's a very interesting topic. So yeah, that concludes our video for the purchase of the home. And believe, guys, it's possible. You don't have to wait for many years to do it. We did it in 1 year. You come here with experience. You can do it too. It's not difficult. You just have to be focused on it and save money. Don't overspend it. And that's how you can purchase a home and then be more wealthy. Because in this country, if you're just making salary, that's not going to be enough to make you wealthy. You need real estate, you need investments, you need to diversify. So one way to diversify is to buy a real estate and wait for it to grow. It will take years. It's not a slow process. It will take many years, but that's the time is all we have, right? So we just have to wait until it happens. Wish you guys all the best. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.